Hello everyone, welcome back. I have here a Holosun 507 acss that just came back. This was replaced under warranty. We're gonna talk about that experience. Now, before we talk about this one optic that I had a problem with and came back, all right, replaced, I want to talk about the overall Holosun experience. How reliable are they? Is the fact that I had one here that had a problem. How does that reflect on Holosun? Well, as you guys know, okay, I have several guns that have more than 10,000 rounds on them. Okay, several of them. I've done videos on an AR that I completely shot out the rifling on, and that was replaced under warranty from Radical Firearms. Okay, so I shoot out guns here. Okay, this is a place where guns come to die from the amount of shooting that I do on them. Okay, so that, and you guys can see the cases all over the ground over here. Okay, so as far as how good is Holosun, how often do they break? So I've got one box here. Okay, this box, okay, is full of Holosun optics. Let's put this over for a second. Okay, so that's one box here, full of Holosun optics. Okay, I got another box here, full of Holosun optics. I got another box here, full of Holosun optics. Okay, so I probably got the value of like a new car in optics over here, right? That's not the value of the guns, just the optics that go on them. Okay. So that should convince you guys that I have a lot of experience with Holosun optics, and I can tell you how good or bad they are. Okay, so out of all these optics, and several of them having shot more than 10,000 rounds, okay, to get one that has a problem is not that bad. Okay, now the type of problem that I had with this is that the sleep awake, the shake awake, the go to sleep shake awake feature stopped working on this. Okay, so what that meant is, even though let's say I have it in manual mode, or even if it's in solar power mode, when I put it in the safe, all right, or when it sits there on the table, it should basically shut itself off, and then when I pick it up, it should come back awake. So while it is immobile, it's not supposed to be consuming the battery. So when I called up, when I emailed Holosun, right? That's where it started with. I emailed Holosun. I told them I've got a 507 acss that's consuming the battery too fast. The first thing they told me was to make sure that the sleep shake awake feature is turned on, because it has to be turned on. The default is on from the factory, but there's always a possibility that maybe, who knows. So the way you test that is you hold down the plus key for like 10 seconds. And if it's set to the first mode, where it goes off after 10 minutes of an activity, it's gonna blink only one time. And I think there's 4 settings over there. Like one is like, I don't know, 15 minutes. One is like half an hour, or maybe one's an hour, and one's 4 hours. But whatever, I had it to the first setting, where it will turn off after 10 minutes of inactivity. Okay, so I verified that like 3 times. And the reason why I was cautious to verify this is because when I first started using these Holosuns, I don't know, some 4 or 5 years ago, I was not familiar with this idea that, hey, if you're in solar power mode and you're shooting from a shady area into a well-lit area, the reticle may not be bright enough. So I thought that there was a defect with that, and so I actually did a video on that, but that video was incorrect, because that wasn't a defect with the optic. That's how it's supposed to work. And the reason I noticed, because I ordered more optics and I saw that, yeah, in solar power mode, that's what they all do. Okay, so that's why if I know I'm going to be shooting these things, I will switch them into manual mode, where I can control the setting. Okay, so that said, this is the first one out of all these optics that I had a problem with, right? Where it was not working. Now, it's not like it wasn't working at all. It was just consuming the battery too fast, and every 3 to 4 weeks I would have to change the battery. Now that's very similar to this one over here. This is the 507K, all right? Now this one doesn't have a solar panel, and because this is on my carry gun, basically because I'm moving around all day, it's constantly on. So this one doesn't get a chance to go to sleep except when I go home at night and I put it in the safe. So it only sleeps at night, and that's why basically every 4 to 6 weeks I have to change the battery on this. However, the one that was on these guns, these are basically just guns I'm using at the range to train people. So they might be running like 4 or 5 hours a day, but it's not on like 12 hours a day. So so there was no reason why the battery should have been wearing out every like 3 to 4 weeks. Okay, so I knew I had a problem with it. So I contacted Holosun because the box says Holosun on it, right? And when I contacted them, first they told me to check the sleep shake awake setting, right? That's the first thing they told me, which I did. And then they said, okay, you've got to contact primary arms, right? And the reason is because this reticle over here, this acss design, is primary arms, and I guess that's the deal that they made, all right? Which is kind of weird to me, but because despite the fact that the housing and the electronics are all Holosun, the fact that it's an acss reticle from primary arms, the deal that they made, right, between themselves is that any defects that came back, primary arms would have to deal with them. Okay, so I had to contact primary arms, so that's important. Keep that in mind. If your Holosun 507 acss goes bad, regardless of where you bought it from, because I bought all these from Optics Planet, or most of them, right? Regardless where you bought it from, okay, it has to go back to primary arms. That's who you got to contact. Just do a Google search, find primary arms website, contact their customer service, because you're gonna have to get an arm A from them to send it back. Okay, so I sent this email, whatever, submitted this request to primary arms, and I think within a day they gave back to me and they gave me an RMA number. Okay, and I said, okay, great, RMA number. Okay, and I said, okay, great, I want a label now. Give me a shipping label. That's where we started running some difficulties. Okay, because then I got another email back, said, well, we'll send you a shipping label if you have bought it in the last 90 days, okay? Which I did not like, okay, as you can imagine, okay? And here's the thing. I'm used to Amazon, right? I'm used to, you order something, you don't like it, you send it back, there is no questions asked. Okay? Same thing with Optics Planet, and it's almost immediate, So I didn't like the fact that they were telling me that I would have to pay for the shipping. More than, it wasn't just that I would have to pay for the shipping, but now I have to do all this extra work of, going in there, waiting online. I want to just print off the label, slap it on, or in fact, with Amazon, I don't even have to print off a label, right? They just give me a barcode, and I can just take the box in like this to UPS, right? I take the box in like this, and I have my phone with the barcode, and I give them the box literally like that, and they scan the barcode on my phone, and then they take it and they wrap this up themselves. That's what I'm used to. Okay, so mind you, maybe 10 years ago it wouldn't have bothered me, but today it's bothering me. Okay, I did not like that. So anyway, the fact is I've ordered so many, I do not remember exactly when I bought this. Okay, so what I did is I contacted her back and I said I bought a 507, because I'm basically buying one of these every 2 weeks, basically, right? More or less. So I told her, I said, yeah, I bought this, because I didn't remember exactly when I bought it. I said, I bought one in the last 2 weeks, and I get email back, send us the receipt. So I went to the last purchase I made, took a screenshot on my phone, emailed it to her. I go, here you go. That's the last one. That's the one I bought. And now it takes me, I don't know what happened over there, but nobody's getting back to me. Okay, nobody's getting back to me, either to say we need a better receipt or it's not good or what. Just nobody's getting back to me for like a whole week, which is starting to irritate me a little bit. So now I'm emailing the manager, this person, that person. I'm like, okay, this isn't going so well now. Okay, and the thing is, like, okay, at this point, it's like, okay, fine, okay, I'll pay for it, right? And I'll ship it out myself. But the way these people are acting, where they're not answering my emails, how do I know they're even going to get it, you know, or replace it and do the thing that they're doing? So I'm starting to think these things in my mind now. Okay. About a week later, I get the email back from this lady. She must have been on vacation. I don't know. Maybe somebody got fired. I have no idea what happened over there. But a week later, I finally get, oh, okay, here you go. Here's your shipping label. I never brought up any issue, no issue of whether my receipt was good or bad ever came up. It's like, you know, and I had sent out like 4 or 5 emails, and I just got, okay, sorry for the delay. I think she might have said something to the effect that we're backed up or something, whatever. Finally got it, shipped it out, okay? And then I think it took something like a week and a half to get it back. So all in all, this thing ended up taking about 3 weeks to get this replaced. So I did get it replaced, and I'm going to put it on this gun over here. This is a ADP Builder slide on an Armor Ally frame. So that's the gun it's going to go on. And this is lately I've been buying mostly green ones, but I'm kind of glad this is a red one, because one of the things I've been trying to do is if my front sight, if my front sight is yellow, I want the chevron to be red, okay? Or if my chevron is let's say green, I want that to be red. I want them to be different colors. I want the chevron and the front, the optic, the tritium front sight. That's the word I was looking for. I want the tritium front sight to be a different color than the chevron. So this is going to match up nice. The red chevron here with the yellowish tritium front sight. Now let me say this. I've got one. This is the last one I've built over here, right? Again, the Armor Ally frame. That's a aim surplus slide. On this one here, because this one has the acss. Okay, let me show you guys real quick on the camera. Because this one here has the acss, I did not even bother. See, as you go out, you see how you'll kind of see the edge of the circle, and I'll tell you where you gotta move to find that chevron. So when I bring it in, you can kind of see the whole thing. So because of this design, I've actually elected not to put front iron sights on this at all. And part of the reason is because sometimes I find that when I train beginners, right, because I train a lot of beginners, brand new people, I'm finding that if I give them a gun that has optic plus sights, a lot of times they're asking me, well, should I look at the arrow or should I look at the front sight post? So sometimes I'm finding with beginners that they get a little confused between the two. So that's the reason why I'm trying this one out, where it's just the optic, and because of the big 250 aim away circle, they'll be able to find the chevron fast, right? So they don't need to use the iron sights as a reference. And I've already tried this out a bunch of times, and it is working out really good. Before the like back before when I was using just iron sights, it would take forever to try and get people to line up their iron sights, right? And then they would be like, you know, like they would lose it, right? Beginners would lose the iron sights, and I found that I was just trying to teach people too much. Women would get frustrated with the iron sights, and I found as soon as I started putting them on guns that had optics, they were taking to it so much easier. They liked shooting so much more. So that's why I immediately started using only guns that have optics for training beginners and women in particular. But I've noticed that a lot of times that they will get confused between the tritium front sight and the optic, you know, the reticle. So I'm finding now with this gun over here, where I give them a gun that just has the optic and no iron sights on it at all, that it just cuts out one more step of confusion. And you know, I know a lot of people are like, well, learn to use the iron sights first. Well, here's the thing. I'm trying to recruit women over to our gun, to our gun side as fast as possible. If you put women on something, sometimes, not all women, but if you put them on something that's too difficult, a lot of times they just lose interest in, because a lot of times they'll come with their husband or their boyfriend, and they'll be like, okay, you shoot, I'm just gonna go sit over there, and they'll go play with their phone. So that's what I was finding with the iron sights. When I started using optics, all of a sudden now they wanted to shoot the guns, okay? So my goal is to get people into guns as fast as possible and hook them to our side. And the optics are the tool that does that, okay? It helps me do that a lot easier, so that's why everything's optics now, okay? Now, at the end, when they really get into shooting, then I will introduce guns that only have iron sights, I'll teach them to do that. But at that point, they're already into shooting, because the first thing is I gotta get them to hit targets. Once they start hitting the bing, 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 if they start hitting ting, 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 ting from hitting the target, that gets them excited. They start getting into it. Then I can start teaching them the other things, okay? So you got, so especially when you're working with beginners, right? You got to do things in the right order like that. And here's the thing. There's lots of gun instructors out there, right? But there's not that many that do this full time, okay? There's a reason why I'm able to do this full time. Because of the way I do things, okay? Because when you're training some beginners, they're not all coming in with the same mindset, okay? Half the people are coming into something like this where it's like, yeah, I want to shoot guns, that's most of the guys. But then you've got a lot of people that are just kind of along for the ride, all right? That's usually the women that are along, not always, but usually just along for the ride. And that's an opportunity for me to get them over to our side, and I have a very limited amount of time to do that, to convince them that this is the thing, this is the fun thing that they want to be doing, okay? So the optics help me get there. So going back to the subject, I really meant to talk to you guys about the warranty replacement. Where did I put that thing? Here? Oh, here it is. The warranty replacement on your Holosun 507 acss. It's not likely that you're ever going to have a problem. Okay, I have so many. I showed you guys all the boxes. Out of all those, I had one that actually went bad. And the thing that went bad was the sleep shake awake. The optic was still working fine. It's just I just had to change the battery like every 3 weeks. So the optic was good. Customer service, it could be better. Okay, and the reason why I'm putting this out there, right, is because I want Primary Arms to see this video and fix this problem, because I want them to do well. I want them to succeed. I want them, I don't want people to be complaining, all right, about the Primary Arms customer service, because this is the optic that I recommend to people, okay? Because I sell more, I convince more people to buy Holosun optics than anybody, right? Because I travel around to different gun ranges. People see my guns, they see what I got on my guns, and that's the thing that they want to copy, okay? All right, because they're like, okay, if he's using it, it must be a good thing, okay? So, we're talking about beginners here, okay? Obviously, the people who have been doing this for a while, they can make their own decisions, but the beginners, the point that they're going to start from is, what's he using? We should probably be using the thing that he's using, okay? And also the thing that I'm using is also the easiest thing for them to use, and also, the prettiest thing, right? Because, nice, fancy colored guns, that's also a seller for women. People see a gun like this, okay? That brings them over to our side a lot faster than, let's say, if they see a gun that's a little bit more plain like this one, right? Just black or gray. So fancy colored guns are also a nice piece of bait, to bring people to our side and to keep growing our ranks, right? Because that's how we're going to win this gun rights game. We have to bring more and more people over to our side. And where are we going to get them? Well, we got to steal them from the other side. Okay, so hope you guys enjoyed this video. Yeah, I'm 100% behind both Holosun and Primary Arms on the thing that they're doing. Really happy with them. I'm going to keep buying from them. In fact, the one thing that's that I wish that they would do is this 507K on my, they need to come up with an acss version with this. I don't know what the delay is. I don't know why Primary Arms hasn't worked out a deal with with Holosun to make a 507K, right, for your Glock 43. That takes the that has an acss reticle, because that is going to be a big seller. I mean, like I've got a whole bunch of the, I don't have it here, but I got a whole bunch of G43s that I'm just keeping empty because I'm waiting for Holosun and Primary Arms to make something that I want to put on it. Okay, and that's going to be something that has that acss reticle. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you follow me on all my channels. On YouTube, I've got Pocono Shooting, I got Absolute Gun Rights, and I got the original Safa channel that goes back to 2006. On Odyssey, I'm Pocono Tactical. On Rumble, I'm Pocono Guns. Also on Gunstreamer and HugeTube, I'm also Pocono Tactical over there. I got all these channels so I can stay ahead of these sensors. So I'll talk to you all soon.